going to lead with the Barstool brand from an online sports betting perspective. We're also in the process of converting our existing retail sports books inside of our casinos and our sports bars, converting those to Barstool branded sports books and sports bars. And the key really is, how do we activate that Barstool loyal audience with their brands and the personalities behind that brand? And I think one of the things that you'll find is that there's going to be a lot of activity in our properties around those sports books and those sports bars, around big sporting events like March Madness and the Super Bowl and the playoffs and Major League Baseball, NBA, you name it. There's going to be a lot of activity where Barstool personalities will spend time in our properties. We'll hold events that are going to be a lot of fun for those Barstool audience to come bet on sports and hang out with their favorite personalities.
When you have things at play like politics and looking at trying to introduce legislation that still today could be somewhat controversial, even if it's going to generate revenue and potentially help the state out, it's difficult to get people on the same page, and it's something that you need bipartisan effort.
I think any legislation should provide framework for the regulatory body to be able to effectively roll things out in an efficient manner. And so, I think it's key to empower them with tools to be able to create an environment that is competitive, but it's also it's competitive with the illegal market to be able to shift those dollars over.
Games are going to start as early as noon and are going to continue on until midnight. And it's going to look like that for the entirety of the seeding game. So our broadcast schedule is going to have a little bit of a March Madness feel to it, and that there's going to be NBA action all day long at a period where most people are home all day. So we think that's going to be a really unique dynamic for fan engagement. We think it's going to be really unique for the fantasy and gaming community, and that you're going to have this long period of time each day to engage fans in new ways.
We've got content partnerships. I think we're trying to get, casual fans, casual bettors, casual viewers, whatever the case may be, to understand that, the bet type of a race winner is great, but there's so much more opportunity.
It's challenging due to the, state by state nature of everything, with, having to have a different set of rules and a different set of licenses in pretty much every state. It makes it tough to scale a business model.
To include horse racing in the fold of the betting markets that are available. And the other 2 points I would make to kick us off. Well, the first one, you've alluded to the lotteries, and with all due respect to them, in particular in Europe, but I suppose also to a large extent in the United States, we would usually put the lottery model forward, and you've just done that as well, Bill, as something rather obsolete or arcane. So if in the United States even the lotteries are ahead of betting on horse racing, then something definitely needs to be done.
And to extend upon what you're saying, there's a lot of interest in that science of horse racing, but there's not the real outlet to express that by having a good bet on a horse, which fixed odds allows you to do.
That's exactly right. And that has to do with, I don't know what the proper word is, the elasticity of the pricing, the fact that you can't, there's a lot of big cultural differences in betting around the world. And the reason we're a multiple race betting culture, it's not because we're all a bunch of mug punters. It's because that's where the better opportunities are in a parimutuel system that has no capacity to fix in the odds.
There's a huge difference between Europe and the US, between what the consumer's looking for and what the client's looking for. It's the regulatory challenges in Europe, and actually I think the US will have a lot to learn of paying attention to the European challenges, because it's probably what you're going to be looking at in 5, 10, 15 years.
So basically esports, similarly to virtuals, this is a category that gained a lot of traction during the last quarter. So it's a rising proposition and the perfect hook, we believe, for engaging younger demographics, but also players that look for entertainment outside the realm of live sports.
Money flowing, which is oiling the gears of innovation and enabling, startups and new business models and people to take a shot at building a next generation kind of media company in the US that wouldn't have been possible a couple of years ago.
I think that while the numbers continue to stun me, I still think that the number of sports bettors out there will only grow as people become more comfortable and learn more about how to do it. I still think a lot of men are intimidated by going up to place a sports bet or a lot of the apps that are out there. So I think that that's another role that media can play, is helping to educate folks on how to make more informed wagers.
You bet. I know that even when I started with Roar Digital under the BetMGM banner, there was a lot of discussion and high aspirations for Colorado. So certainly, from a population base, has a good sized population, and more importantly, there's a high propensity of those there that associate with sports, and so they have some really good sports team. And so we knew from the get-go that this would be a fabulous market for us. So it was important for us to make sure we launched on day one.
We also want to protect any of the betting public. We want it to be a safe, fun, responsible experience. But we also want to be advanced in the features that we're providing, and we want to be able to move quickly. So, Colorado took a very different approach, which was, you tell us what you need to do as operators, and that we'll tell you if we agree with that, and then you just follow your own protocols, as long as you're still protecting, securing the platforms and the software.
And quite frankly, the fact that there's so much in-game betting, I think it goes without saying that the market leaders there, DraftKings and FanDuel, are very progressive companies that are technology companies at their core, and they came out swinging with great products. And, I mean this in all due respect and sincerely, that, the traditional casino companies here in Nevada were not very innovative in sports betting.
Given the fact that we are both heavily entrenched in iGaming as well as sports betting, and when you look at it, particularly in the retail front through our latest acquisition, BGT, we have about 60,000 kiosks distributed worldwide. We've had to be creative. We've had to be innovative in order to bridge the gap between venues and the iGaming and digital sports ecosystem.
So niche is the new mainstream. I think that I've always had this idea that standalone unbundled apps could work really well, but hadn't necessarily articulated in my own mind why that could be. But having given this a bit of thought, I'm pretty convinced that the reason is niche is the new mainstream. So, if we go back as recently as 5 or 10 years ago, you had your radio, you had your TV, you had your Sirius XM, whatever, but it talked at you effectively. You had the illusion of control, but really you're at the behest of schedules and what packages you had, etc. And we all know today, you guys don't need me to explain to you that actually, if you think about Reddit and podcasts and Twitter, you don't realize it necessarily, but we're all part of small targeted communities now.
The large volume of bookmaking operations being done by organized crime within Canada is not insignificant. And so part of it is leveling the playing field, really, for gaming operators in Canada, creating a legal framework to encompass all sports wagering, allow the regulated gaming industry within Canada to access the products, serve their customers with what they're looking for. And that's thanks to technology has been driving greater demand and diversity in sports wagering.